Well, hello there. It's Friday, March 14th, and yeah, it's a little later in the day, a little tied up, but here I am, hot off the presses. Let's talk F-35s. So, I'm just getting caught up on the news here and saw on CBC.ca an interview on Power and Politics with Defense Minister Blair from Canada. He was the defense minister before, and now he's in cabinet again, still has the same portfolio. And in this interview, they had brought up defense procurement, and the F 35 came into the conversation. And interestingly enough, the new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has directed the defense minister to look into options and reevaluate the contract. So that's really interesting news. It kind of trends to what Carney was saying about defense procurement and doing more in house. Now, the problem with the F 35 is they're all built in the States, right? The next plane in competition that was a serious contender was the Saab Gripen. Now, ultimately, they went with the F 35, but the Saab Gripen is a very capable plane. I think that for our needs and what we need as an Air Force and our defense capabilities, I think that the Saab Gripen is a sufficient plane. Because yeah, it's not as advanced, but we're not a country that goes on a lot of, aggressive wars. We do bombing runs and stuff, yeah, for sure, but the Gripen can do the same. But anyway, I don't want to get lost in the weeds about that particular plane. What's interesting, though, is with a contract like the Gripen, though, what Saab offered and said is they would transfer the intellectual rights to the plane to Canada, and the Gripen would have been built in Canada. So we, in essence, would be getting a home-built plane. Right? I was never on board with the F 35. I didn't think that that was the right plane. It's almost too much plane for what Canada needs, for lack of a better word. So it's really interesting. Now, here's the thing: the Gripen, or the Typhoon, or the Raphael, or there's options out there besides the F 35. But the thing about the F 35 though is we are going to end up having some. The first, we're ordering 88 in total, and the first block of 16 have been bought and paid for. Right, they're being constructed, and we're going to be getting them delivered here in the next couple of years. The Air Force CFB Cold Lake and the other one in Quebec, the air bases are being upgraded to handle this plane. So we're going to have F-16s. But at least the government is looking at an option for something else. Now, it's not the Air Force's preferred choice, right? Because if you got two different planes, now you got to have two different supply chains. You got to have two different training regimens, right? So it's in a perfect world for a country like Canada, one plane is preferable. The United States can get away with running a shit ton of different planes, right? Canada, not so much. But I mean, it is what it is. Moving forward, do we really want to be investing more money in the United States defense military complex when they're threatening annexation, right? So it really is a tough spot. But, I mean, in the perfect world, if we could get a toehold into aero defense industry with the SAB program, and then invest some money into ourselves and investing, designing our own planes and stuff, I mean, and become a net exporter, or working closely with Airbus and other European defense contractors. Same thing with our submarines, right? The German, Norwegian, I want to say, consortium has invited Canada to come into that program for submarine procurement. If we could get a toehold into submarine building in Canada too, right? I mean, that's tough. We don't have a lot of sea building capabilities, and the two major ones, Seaspan on the west coast and Irving Shipbuilding on the east coast, are pretty tied up. I'm going to be building the River class destroyers and everything, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to align ourselves and grow our defense industry with like-minded allies. So but here's the thing: I'm almost on board with breaking the fucking contract. Yeah, it's going to cost money, But whatever. I'd rather do that than give, the United States $80 billion over the life of the F-35 program. Um, and you know what? Just go with Saab or whatever, but just say, all right, full order of 88 and order 88 new jets. I'm sure Saab could probably get us a couple of jets in the next couple of years, right? If you got a customer like Canada, Saab's going to be like, hey, man, we can get you a fucking 5 by 2026, We can wait for our F-35s. And then once we get those motherfucking jets, just plop them on the White House lawn. They could sell them. They sell Teslas on the White House lawn. Why not F-35s? Crazy Don's jets and cars, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's never going to happen. So I do think that, we are going to have F-35 in some capability. So I just thought that was really interesting. I'd been calling for the contract to be canceled. Now, nothing's set in stone. We may end up with keeping the F-35, right? I mean, who knows, right? But at least, Carney is willing to have a conversation. He's willing to see that, it looks good in Canadians' eyes if we may lose some money in breaking the contract, but if we can bring high-tech, high-paying, defense industry jobs into Canada building advanced fighter jets, I mean, there's wins to be had, right? So, yeah, it's pretty exciting times. And I think that, moving forward, a lot of things are going to be reevaluated. I would really, really hate to be a U.S. defense contractor right now. Portugal yesterday announced they're not going with the F-35. Canada on national TV has made an announcement that's giving a heads up to Lockheed Martin and the U.S. government. Look, we're shopping around, right? If you're Lockheed Martin or Boeing or any other defense contractor, you got South Korea's got a booming arms industry. They've already sent a delegation from their main defense contractors in South Korea to Canada before Carney got sworn in. They're already sending people, hey, we got howitzers, we got fucking, artillery, we got all of this shit. Come shopping, right? So, yeah, Europe and everything like that. There's a lot of people who make munitions and weapons of war, not just the United States of America. And Trump and his, little pushing away allies and trade wars and all this other stuff like that. What's that going to cost him? Hundreds of billions of dollars? Right? Because even if things tamper down between Canada and the United States on the trade war front, we as Canadians we're hurt, we're angry. The government is hurt, the government is angry, right? Like, there's no going back to the relationship the way it was. And I think that's a misconception a lot of Americans have, is they think that, once it's done or once Trump is gone, everything goes back to normal. But no, it's not. I know personally myself, I don't really ever have an intention to travel to the United States again. And I'm a guy who went to Vegas every 6 weeks, before I got sick and stuff like that. I love partying in the States, but now I have no urge. I'm going to Montreal at the end of March with a buddy. I'm going to go check out Canada. But yeah, so, it's going to be a lot of long-term repercussions. And, Trump is all America first and inclusion, and we don't need anybody else in the world. Yeah, your defense industries are a lot bigger than the U.S. fucking what you guys spend, So, yeah, it's, farmers and car manufacturers, steel and aluminum, and just absolutely crazy. So, anyway, yeah, F-35s. We'll see how this all plays out, right? But I think that there's going to be some fundamental shifts happening here in Canada. And now tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to do a video, and it's going to be what I think if I was in charge of Mark Carney's election campaign, what I would do to win the election that is going to be called in the next couple of days. Because, he's not out of the woods, and it's not going to be easy, right? So, anyway, fight fascism, be good to each other, and have a great night.